Hello my lovelies and welcome back to the Swish Family Robertson. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and that you've started off the new year on a positive note. If you're anything like me, we've been doing a lot of activities indoors because it has been miserable weather, it's been cold, it's been rainy, so we've been taking advantage of doing things indoors. And one of the things we tried was homemade puffy paint, so DIY puff paint, and I was really impressed with how it worked out. What you're going to need is a big bowl, a whisk, some PVA glue. We just got this from the works, £4, not a bad price for I don't know how many mils, well, for 1 litre. We got some shaving foam. This is from Morrison's. It was £1, so it's not too bad. The tutorials I've seen use liquid food colourings, but I'm going to try using my Wilton's gel colours because it's all I've got and I wasn't about to buy more. I'm going to see how they work out. We've got some little pots here. As you can see, I think these actually came from a takeaway place, and some toothpicks. And then we've got this cupcake and cookie decorating set. I got this at a car boot sale. It was new, and since then we've used it for making Christmas cookies and things. But what I really think is going to come in handy here for using this puff paint is putting some of the paint inside here, oh gosh, with a nozzle on the end to help to use it to make pictures on the paper. So we're going to see how it works out. It may not work, but we're going to give it a go. So first thing you're going to do is, I've got my little handy helper here. My little handy helper. First thing we're going to do is pour in, come on, you're going to help mummy. Okay. Pour in, let's just take the lid off, it'll be much easier. Pour in some glue. Now listen, don't pour in too much because so much of it is going to go, a little bit of it is going to go a long way, okay? Right, so we've poured in some glue, as you can see. Now we're going to pour in, we're going to squirt in, give it a good old shake, shaving cream, and you can squirt it in and I'll mix it up. Not working? There you go.
Yeah, working.
Okay.
That's enough for a second.
Yeah, that's enough for now. That's enough. Right, so as you can see, we've not poured in a lot comparable to how much paint we poured in. Maybe we just add a little bit more paint. The directions of the glue. The directions I've seen don't actually have measurements, so you know, we'll wing it. Let's see how we get on.
We're in more than one pot.
So right, so we're gonna whip it up like this. Make sure it's all amalgamated.
What does that mean?
Amalgamated means all mixed together.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
I probably use that quite often now.
Amalgamated. It's a big word.
Make.
Amalgamated.
Amalgamate.
Okay, go and put that in the sink for me.
Okay.
I don't want it to get everywhere. Right. And get me a tablespoon, please, my love.
Okay. I told you that we would need
A tablespoon, please. Tablespoon.
Okay.
That's a teaspoon.
Oh.
Tablespoon. Right. I'm going to pour a bit of the paint. We're going to pour a bit of the white paint into some of the pots here.
Mum.
And then we're going to add some colour. So I just want to have a look and see how this, and I need a teaspoon as well.
I just got one.
I'm going to see how this gel food colouring actually works. So, as you can see, it's quite puffy. Ooh. Let's just move that over there.
Oh.
No!
Oh well.
Stay, you silly thing. Right.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Right, so as you can tell, these are the gel. They are the gel food colourings. They are quite thick, and a little bit tends to go a long way. So I'm going to just use my toothpick, just to try and spoon some out, and get it in there.
Ooh.
If you make sure that you don't get any of the puff paint, the white puff paint on your toothpick, you can go in for some more. But I wouldn't, obviously, because this food colouring is going to be used again, and at the moment it is this glue and food colouring is not food safe. So we're mixing it in.
Mommy, look how pretty it is.
Oh, wow, it is working. So it's going to take a little bit of mixing. As you can see there, it's working. It's going to take a bit of mixing to get it all the way through. So that'll keep us busy for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing one of the other colours.
Can you do blue this time, Mama?
Yeah.
I think I'm done. Oh.
We'll do red,
No,
yellow.
I'm done.
We'll do red, yellow and blue, okay?
Okay. Primary colours.
Primary colours, that's
I can
it.
mix them, I guess.
Yeah, you can.
Ready at the bottom yet? No.
Ugh, it's a bit gross.
I think
Ugh.
it takes a while to get to the bottom.
Well, why don't you use the teaspoon? And as you can see, we've made a few different colours. We've now got, I don't know if you can see, we've got purple, yellow, red, although that looks slightly orange on the camera, but it's red. We've got blue, green and orange. This was a nightmare. I was hoping these would be easy to use because they'd be easy to direct the paint through the point. But first we made some yellow and tried to stick it in here, which was just a nightmare. And then we decided that we would just try and straightforward make yellow inside here and shake it up. That also didn't work. These are a bad idea, people. Don't try this. Don't try and be a hero. You're going to get messy. Just give it a go.
Put it in a piping bag.
Yeah, that's also messy.
Well,
So
it'll work a bit better.
yeah, that's also messy. So
Might
we
work
are
better.
now going to try and paint with our puff paint. So
Free paint.
you give it a go.
This is so cool. When it's dry, I want to put a kawaii face on this. It looks like an egg.
So I'm going to just give it a go with some,
Looks like an egg.
it does look like an egg. So I'm going to give this a go with some paint and see how we get on. With some paintbrushes and see how we get on. So, and apparently when it dries,
It's going to be puffy.
it's puffed up a bit. So so don't, you know, when you paint with it, don't try and do thin little layers. Try and slap it on. So we've been painting with our puff paint, and it's actually quite thick. I mean, you can see how thick it is. I've just literally put my brush in, and it's really quite thick. And actually, because it's quite thick, it's quite easy to work with. But it doesn't spread as much. But I suppose if you want a puff on your paint, on your picture, and you want it to be sort of 3D, you're not going to want it to spread as much. So as you can see on my clouds here, or I don't know if you can see, I'm going to have some really thick places where it is really puffy and some places where it's a bit more wispy. But I suppose that's clouds for you. So I'm actually quite pleased with this. I'm wanting to see how it's going to dry though. You know, I'm just concerned it's going to dry sort of flat and not going to have that sort of puff shape to it. But also, I suppose the thicker that we do it, the longer it's going to take to dry. So we'll see how we get on. Missy came up with a pretty good idea. So basically, what you do is you put quite a large blob of, oh gosh, I'm mixing the colours now. Quite a large blob of the puff paint, and then you take a toothpick and you sort of drag it through, and it makes lines. So that's actually quite a nice effect that it's making there. This would probably be great for kids to use for painting and with their fingers, like little kids. Okay, so I'm finished with my picture. It is a complete and total mishmash, but you know, I'm really quite impressed with this puff paint. I thought it would start to spread and just really get a bit gross on the page, but it seems to be holding its shape pretty well and staying together. And you can see that as it's going to dry, I mean, some of this has started to dry already over here. And you can see that it's actually drying in that shape. I mean, well, what a fantastic DIY. Well, I'm just back here to show you how our pictures turned out. This is basically almost 24 hours later, and the paint, as you can see, is actually puffy. And if you press it in, you sort of indents and then pops back out. I'm really impressed with that. As you can, my daughter's one took a lot longer to dry than mine did. Here's mine. I'm not the best artist, I'm not going to lie. But if you look at it, these clouds actually have a bit of texture. So you can see that like I tried to do the eyes of the sun and some details there on the cactus, and that didn't quite stay the way it was supposed to have done, and the kite when it dries, because the colours sort of mix together. But if you're doing single colours like that, that works out really, really well. I'm quite pleased with how this paint turned out, and we definitely will be making this again. I was really pleased with how that turned out. It was a cheap and cheerful craft and lots of fun, kept us busy for quite some time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below. You can become part of the family. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. Until next time, thanks for watching and see you soon. Bye.